What's up, y'all? We recently passed 1,000 subscribers, and to say thanks for that, I made a sample pack that I'm giving away for free. There's a link in the description. It's a Gumroad thing, but it's free to download. You don't have to pay anything for it. And what I made for the free pack giveaway is this pad pack that's got a couple different folders. I guess we'll start with the red ones up top. We have pad chords, and there's quite a bit of these, and they're just different. Right, single different chords that stay the same tonally, or the notes are the same the whole way through, but they kind of evolve. Right, there's some movement to them, but they don't change note-wise. That's probably, I think, the biggest folder in here. Then we have pad notes, and these are, I'll explain them after I play it, I guess. So as you can see, it's just a single note, which is nice because then it gives you the freedom to make your own chords out of some already like kind of luscious sounds. So right, just kind of making your own progression out of it or whatever. So it's easier to, with one of these red ones or some of these other kind of more tonally set pads, you don't have as much freedom. But with the green ones, which is the single notes over here, you have a lot of freedom to do different chords, fit it to whatever track you're making. Right, and then we have the next one, which is pad loops. There's not that many of these, but it is what it is. So here, this is what these sound like. They're just different. It's basically different pad chords that evolve over time. The notes change. Right, so you don't have to know too much music theory. You just put it in there and it sounds pretty good. Right, and you get the idea there. And then the last set, which was the one that I really enjoyed making the most, I feel like this is some of the coolest sound design I've probably ever done, is this Granular pads set. And it's kind of wide as far as like what all is in it, but some of them are just like fluttery, ambient deals, and then some of them are more like glitchy textural things like this that right, that have a lot of movement and might even work better as like filler material, like little glitchy fills. And I may go in and do a tutorial on how to make these someday soon, because these were just so fun to make and so easy to make. Once you already, once you have the beginning, it's super easy to make these. But just a bunch of different tones. Bunch of different textures. Some of them even get into that like Reese left field type, cone soundy bass zone of sound design. Right, that type of stuff. And then just there's a ton of different stuff. I made them all as different as I could from each other, so it's not just a bunch of the same sound. And so again, the link to that is going to be in the description. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I'll probably do one of these again at 10,000, probably on a different, section of sound design, but something else cool that's fun to make for me. So that's part one of this video. Part two is give me feedback. Give me whatever criticisms you may have, like I hate it when you do this, or why is every video like this, or why don't you do this? Just anything that because I can't really see my blind spots with this channel. I don't know why people like some videos more than others. I don't know why particular ones are I don't want to kind of like lead the feedback, so I'll just say like anything you want to say feedback wise, put that in the comments. I read every single comment that I get. And when the channel's small like this, it's easy to do that, and it's easy to like cater to what you guys want. So anything that you can think of, it's the tutorials are too hard. It's difficult to follow. Anything, whatever feedback you may have for me to say, like, you don't realize this, but you do this a lot, and it kills me, or whatever it might be. And then part 3 of this video is just, I'm going to answer a couple questions that I think probably that I would wonder if I saw somebody making tutorial videos. So the first one is where I'm from. I'm from the suburbs north of Atlanta, Georgia. If you are most people I think are familiar with the U.S. So Atlanta, it's a town in the southeast, or a big city in the southeast. I'm from the suburbs to the north of that. So how long have I been producing for would be another one. I started producing probably in like 2010, 2011. I had just graduated high school. Some of my friends got me into, actually I remember the first time I heard dubstep was, it was when Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, or some Skrillex, one of his earlier EPs had just come out. There was a video that was, it was like an inception when the fruits all start exploding and shit. I hope somebody's seen this video so they can know what I'm talking about. There's all the fruits are exploding off the shit in the inception dream scene or whatever. And they did that to like Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, and like rewound and played the video forward and backwards. And I just remember right then I was like, this is so fucking cool. I want to learn how to do this. And so at that point, I didn't know anything about it. Like, I thought DJs were up there making the fucking sound design as they did whatever they're doing up there. And then I think it was one of my buddies, Adam, had said like, you got to get Fruit Loops, man. You need Fruit Loops. That's how everybody makes this shit, is fruit. They have Fruit Loops or whatever. And so that was the first person ever that was like, this is a DAW. You need to do this. And he didn't know anything about it, but he had just heard that people use the Fruit Loops for it. So from like 2010 to 2014, I just dabbled, right? Like, I would get the free software and be like, I don't want to pay for this shit. So I would be, make projects and not be able to, reopen them. And then I think in 2012, I was like, okay, I'll buy the software and I'm going to start learning this. And I like really worked hard for like a couple months to learn this shit, and then kind of gave it up. And then in 2014, like, I had continued like picking it up and practicing a little bit here and there. In 2014 though was when I was like, you know what? Fuck. I went to college, I have a degree and shit. But like, I was like, fuck using that degree. I want to learn how to make music, and that's what I'm going to try and do as a career. So 2014 up to now, I produce at least a couple hours. If you average it out, I probably produce like 2 to 4 hours a day every day since 2014. Cause there was some days, especially in the beginning, when I didn't make a ton of progress, but I worked way harder. Where I would spend like 8 hours and 12 hours in some days. But I do that a little less now because it's just, I'm not going to only do this with my life. I got other stuff going on. So that's a pretty long-winded answer, but that's the answer to that one. Nowadays, though, I will say if you're like trying to get into producing, don't spend 8 hours a day. I would say spend like 2, maybe. Like, if you can commit to 1, you'll do 3. That was my experience in the beginning. I was like, I'm just going to do 1 hour, and then it would be like 4 hours later. You don't need to do that, though. If you're making yourself miserable, you're just going to burn out. So that's my, I think, best advice as far as how long to spend doing it. So the next question that I had on my list, I've answered a couple times now, and I keep having to edit it out because I go on for so long. I'll just say this past year, I listened to a ton. Who I listened to is what the question is. I listened to there's 4 people that I'll say are the GOATs. And for me, that's Virtual Riot, Space Laces, Murata, and then I'll say Sudden Death. And then the 5th GOAT is like a rotational GOAT. So like, they come and they go, and sometimes they get added to the top 5 people list, but like not always. And right now I'd have to say Muerte is that 5th spot. He's doing the best job of anybody making heavy dubstep, I think, right now lately. And then as far as like what else I've listened to this year, a ton of Dariacore. And I'll just open up my little playlist here so I can name who all the people that I've been listening to. Zave, XAEV, who has recently changed their name, Dashi, Leroy, of course, until they stop making Dariacore. But even though I'm a fan of a lot of the hyperpop stuff, I listened to mostly hyperpop last year, and that got replaced by Dariacore this year. Steege, Tailsdoll, Carbine. I could go on and on, so I'll just kind of cut it there. Lori, yeah, Tailsdoll, Celsius 2004, Nujo. I don't know how to pronounce that one. That's who I listen to as far as Dariacore goes, and that's mainly the two things that I've listened to this year. Is mostly Dariacore and dubstep of all different flavors. So the next question I have here is, why do I not make how to do this artist sound videos? And the answer is like a little bit complicated. It's kind of complex in my head. I would say like partially is I don't want to step on artists' toes, right? I don't want to go out there and do like, I don't want to be the guy that like nobody cares about what I'm doing, but they're just like, oh, he showed me how to make my, Void sound that I wanted to make. Good. Now I can go out there and rip off Void. And so it's like kind of diminishing what Void's doing. It's 100% diminishing what I'm doing because I'm not even, building any kind of a fan base around my music in a way. It's just more of like, I'm going to help you rip this guy off. So it doesn't feel that great in my opinion to do that. I think it gets people's eyes on the videos, but as like a long-term artist growth thing, like for myself, I just feel like it's short-sighted to make those types of videos. So it's not conducive to my growth as an artist or channel. It makes, it just basically makes me the, how do I steal from, other people's style person. Even though I still do that, there's influences of other artists in all my videos, but I just don't want to like title the videos and clickbait people into being like, how do I sound like my favorite artist? So the first reason is it doesn't help me that much. The second reason is it could be stepping on, those artists' toes. Maybe that, I personally wouldn't mind. And I don't think a ton of, there's a ton of people that wouldn't mind if you do a how to sound like me video, especially because they're like, you don't know how I do it. So you're kind of just guessing, right? But to some people that would mind, I think that that's like a valid complaint to have, especially like when a big trend hits and then everybody's just like, how do I, like the big sudden death, for, womp, 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 womp rhythm thing, kind of making videos and teaching people how to do that kills that, trend, I would say. And then the next thing would be like, or the last thing would be, it really doesn't help you that much. If you, I'm the most popular song I ever made called Joy of Rhythm, is basically just like it's a Void, sudden death, for rhythm basses, rip-off song, that uses that same style. And it's the biggest song that I've ever made. And I think it's kind of just algorithmically driven to that point. Like it was popular at the time, and then it stayed in the algorithm for that reason on SoundCloud. I don't really know why. But then also like that has done nothing for me. Making somebody else's song is just going to be like you replaced them for one listen for some people. It's just not that valuable to make other people's sounds. I'm going to do a video about that later, but like for now, I think that kind of explains that. I don't want to step on people's toes. It doesn't help me that much. And I just don't feel like it's the best thing to do for music. It's not pushing music forward that well. So that's kind of a roundabout answer, but. And then the last thing that I had was, what am I into outside of producing? And of course, since I make movie inspired dubstep, movies are a thing that I absolutely love. Movies, shows. Not an anime fan. I know that's it's a lot of people's thing. And the only reason I don't get into anime is because there's too much of it, and I don't have the time. If I get into anime, then there's what is One Piece is like 8,000 episodes. I can't watch 8,000 episodes. If it's good too, then I'm gonna want to watch 8,000 episodes. I can't get into it. I'm staying away from it. But I'm a big fan of movies. I love the A24 production house stuff, all the stuff that they're making, Hereditary, The Lighthouse, a lot of ones that I've done EPs or tracks on, obviously, but then like, other stuff. Some of it is like not even dubstep related at all. Like, Brokeback Mountain is just an absolute destroyer of a movie. That's one of my favorites. I love super sad stuff and super fucked up stuff as far as like horror and like twisted thriller type shit. And then, mystery movies and stuff that have to do with like whatever it might be. There's a ton of different ones, but just movies in general. And then the other thing that I've been into a lot lately is board games. So I've been playing a bunch of board games with my family and my friends, and having game nights with people from my work. And so, you know, just stuff like complex Euro games like Terraforming Mars, you know, Catan, uh, I was about to call it the bird game, Wingspan. I'm a big fan of Euro games, and then I also like party games too. So like Secret Hitler, whenever we can get enough people to play, you know, Mafia, Secret Hitler, Wavelength, Code Names, just a ton of that different stuff. So that's a little bit about me. I guess that's going to be it for this video. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you subscribe, thank you for just go if you, even if you don't subscribe, just go get this sample pack. It's badass. Thanks. And I will see y'all in the next one.